Mitt, the Michigan Mouse, Chapter 23, Spring Arrives. One morning, the forest looked different. The sun was bright and there wasn't as much snow as there used to be. New sounds of birds filled the air and the trees seemed to be waking from their winter sleep. The change of season from winter to spring made Mitt realize the passage of time, and so he asked Reuben in the way that an eager mouse will ask, "When will we get to the mountains?" "We still have far to go," answered Reuben, "but we can travel easier now that it's spring." Mitt didn't know anything about mountains. The only thing he knew was that he seemed to be going in the opposite direction of home. Reuben plodded west with Mitt on his shoulders. There were small lakes and rivers and waterfalls and wetlands, and no shortage of reeds and willows and nuts and shrubs. Once, as Reuben was stumbling through the forest near Laughing Whitefish Falls, he nosed in on a porcupine by mistake. Mitt pulled out every quill with tender care, saving one for a souvenir, weaving it into a patch of thick moose hair behind Reuben's ear for safekeeping. One night, as Mitt and Reuben were bedding down in the Copper Country State Forest not far from the Sturgeon River, Mitt noticed that Reuben was favoring one foot. Now that it was spring and the sun set later, Reuben had been walking a longer distance each day. Mitt hadn't realized how hard the journey had been for Reuben, and so he stayed awake thinking about how to help him. That's when he heard a dreadful noise. So here's a picture of the quills. Chapter 26, Ulf. "What is that?" asked a frightened Mitt. It was a low, long growl that made both of them sit up with a start. "Quiet," said Reuben. "Climb up, we must leave now." But with every step, the pair heard something else take a step too. But what was it? And what did it want with them? Reuben ran as fast as he could. He ran due west into the Ottawa National Forest, but no matter how far he ran, the noise followed them. If he would stop, the noise would stop. When he moved, the noise moved on. This went on for hours before Reuben realized it could only mean one thing: wolves. And he was right. All of a sudden, in a flurry of teeth and growls and fur, the wolves crashed through the understory of young shrubs to close in on Reuben. Mitt held on as the wolves tried to nip the moose from all sides. The leader was Ulf, and he was tall and gray and fast. Mitt thought about Digby, who was tall and gray, but not very fast, and definitely not as mean. Ulf, in the strong way that wolves do, ordered the others to snap at Reuben from each side while he nipped at Reuben's lame leg. Ulf sneered through his heavy breathing. He knew Reuben could not run fast and was ready to take advantage. Reuben, not letting up a bit, had a wild, fearful look in his eyes as he smashed through the forest, knocking over saplings and logs and crushing new trilliums and wild flowers in his path. Reuben was fast, but the wolves were faster. Once the moose was worn down, Ulf spoke, but his words were few. The wolf said, "Reuben, let me tell you about your mother." Reuben thought he knew what this meant. He sat down and let out a bawling sound, more sad and lonely than Mitt had ever heard. It made Mitt angry to see how mean the wolf was to Reuben. At that moment, all Mitt knew was that he had to protect his friend, and he needed to do it by telling a joke. Oh, I'm sorry, it says, and he needed to do more than tell a joke. Mitt grabbed the porcupine quill he had been saving and flew off Reuben to face the wolf. But Ulf started to laugh in a way that wolves will do. "What's this, a mouse? You think a mouse is going to save you, Reuben?" Mitt stood his ground as Ulf stepped closer, and then, as if he were armed with a sword, wham! He stuck the quill deep into Ulf's nose. But Ulf didn't flinch. "Balloo! Balloo!" The bellowing seemed to be coming from behind them. When they all turned around, there stood the biggest, darkest moose Mitt or Reuben or the wolves had ever seen. She was ready for battle, her nostrils flaring, her hooves scratching the ground, her head lowered. Her eyes burned with anger as she charged Ulf. Her name was Trind, and she had come to help Reuben. "Ulf, don't move, or I'll undo you myself," said Trind. Then, taking no chances, Trind charged full into Ulf, smashing him sideways and sending him and the others cowering away for good. Trind walked up to Reuben and nuzzled him lovingly. She looked familiar to him. in the natural way that animals remember each other. "Reuben," she said, "when it's time, a mother moose must let her young one go on its own. I knew it was time for you to do so, and that is why I didn't come back to you. The laws of the forest are not always fair or kind, but they are what they are." "But I thought you forgot about me," Reuben whinnied softly to her. "Reuben, I will never forget you. I will always love you. That's why I named you Reuben. It means son." And then Trin disappeared. Reuben looked brighter now. His face looked a little bit easier, and on that day, his broken foot may not have gotten better, but his broken heart certainly mended. Mitt and Reuben walked slowly now, for the journey had taken its toll. It took them days to reach Nonosuch Falls near the Porcupine Mountains wilderness area, where an American black bear had been waiting for their arrival. "Welcome," she said. "I was told you were coming. It's time to meet the Tekla." So now they are way over here in the Porcupine Mountains. Chapter 27, The Tekla. Mitt and Reuben followed the bear to the edge of the Porcupine Mountains and to the entrance of the Tekla's den. She was a large and wise wolverine with a broad, bulky body. There were yellowish bands from her shoulders to her tail, and her face was small and pointed. The Tekla invited Mitt into her den and allowed him to get comfortable. The den was hidden below an uprooted tree and lined with leaves and grasses and pieces of fur. The Tekla looked Mitt straight in the eye, and then she spoke. Let me show you a picture of her first. "You must do one good thing," said the Tekla. "What is it?" asked Mitt, eager to abide. He had been trying to get home for so long now, he could hardly wait to hear the answer. "That's it. Do one good thing," she said. "Do one good thing? Do one good thing? But, Mitt stammered in disbelief. "But you're supposed to tell me how to get home. You're the Tekla." Mitt buried his head in his paws. Suddenly, his anger broke loose like a cast stone into a wasp's nest. "We came all this way so you could help me get home." "Yes, you did," said the Tekla, trying to soothe Mitt. "And I will, but first you must do one good thing, and then you will find what you are looking for." "What one good thing should I do?" demanded Mitt. The Tekla replied, "I don't know, but when you see it, you will know. To all willing hearts, nothing is impossible." And then she turned away. Mitt looked at the Tekla as she was walking out of her den. He wasn't sure he liked her. He had come all this way, and she told him nothing. They had made the trip for nothing. Mitt was quite hungry, but too tired to forage for food. Reuben was gone. He had left for home. He had such a long way to go, he probably wouldn't even make it home by autumn. How much Reuben had given to bring him to the Tekla. For what? Mitt spent 3 days and nights living in the forest near the ranger station. All that time he thought about what the Tekla had told him. Reuben had nearly lost his life to bring him here, and he wouldn't have done so if he didn't believe in her. So perhaps Mitt should believe in her too, or at least he should believe in Reuben's belief in her. Mitt nosed around outside the ranger station, hoping to find some leftover breadcrumbs or camp crackers. The screen door slammed in and out, and with one of the openings, Mitt scrambled in. He had never been so bold before, but he was hungry and tired and confused. He was searching the corners for crumbs when a young girl walked in. "May I hang up this bulletin?" she asked the ranger. "Let me see," said the ranger, and then he read the paper out loud before hanging it, and Mitt listened carefully. "To all willing, Heart of Wisconsin Cheese Jamboree, please do come. Won first prize cheese contest. Good treats and games. Cheese smorgasbord. Try anything you like." When the ranger and the girl walked away, Mitt scurried up to the bulletin board to read it for himself. Here he is. "To all willing, Heart of Wisconsin Cheese Jamboree, please do come. Won first prize cheese contest. Good treats and games. Cheese smorgasbord. Try anything you like." Notice the bold words. do one good thing to all willing hearts. To all willing, heart of Wisconsin. Mitt read it over and over again. To all willing, heart of Wisconsin, all willing heart, do one good thing. He heard the Tekla's voice again in his mind. To all willing hearts, nothing is impossible. Do one good thing. You will find what you're looking for. Right then, Mitt knew what he had to do. The Tekla said he would find what he was looking for when he did one good thing. And Mitt thought a cheese eating contest would be a very good thing to do. Then I'll find home, thought Mitt, and my mitten. With that, Mitt scrambled out the door and began his journey west to the heart of Wisconsin. He had to find the cheese jamboree, and he had to win the cheese eating contest. And so that is how it came to be that Mitt, a white-footed mouse from Michigan, went scurrying into Wisconsin on an early summer day. The red wool mitten had been the only home he had ever known, and now, because he had a willing heart, he had to take a big chance on how to get it back. The end. So he's over here and he's going to cross the border into Wisconsin, which is a neighboring state of ours. You can find out what happens next to Mitt by reading the next book in the series. It is called Min and Her Life in Minnesota. And then there's a book 3 that will tell us the end of the story for Mitt.